Radiant team ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation, bringing you guys a game between MiTH and Tongfu. This is going to be a Game 2 of the Best of 3 series here. We are looking at the quarterfinals of the AMD Premier League, and yeah, these two teams have certainly earned their place here. However, again, this is Game 2. First game does go to Tongfu. They just played amazingly well, had a lot of team fight presence, and I gotta say, move with those hook shots. What a baller. But anyways, good game, well played for them there. MiTH is going to have to bounce back, and we'll see how they're going to accomplish just that. But either way, I myself am Blaze, and here is my co-caster, Lysander Zenora. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's great to be back in Game 2. Hopefully we see something more eventful this time. And, well, not just a one-sided storm, because one-sided storms are not so good. So maybe MiTH would look to ban out that Magnus this time to prevent that kind of face rolling happening once again. Of course, Clockwork might have a little bit of contention for a ban as well. Like you said, Mu played really well in the last game.
Yeah, not often they see a Clockwork ban, but in this case it just might be warranted as a bit of a respect ban there. Either way, right now we do see the Bat Ride and Lifesteal taken out. Those are pretty much the most guaranteed bans you're going to see, especially in the Southeastern Asian scene. So that is really, really nice to take those out. But yeah, like you said, the Magnus is going to be a point of contention here. Clockwork, I haven't seen too much as far as MiTH running the Clockwork. Do you have any experience with that?
No, I'm not really familiar with MiTH other than the fact that they've been underperforming. It really sucks for me to just know about them because of that. Because I did recognize the name from time to time, but yeah. I always hear about the results going against them, not for them. And again, not banning Magnus, but they do have first pick. So is it going to go to them this time?
Sure. They're a team that has their ups and downs. I've been kind of lightly following them since the International one. They were like the Morphling pickers, which was my favorite hero at the time, so I was like all over that. But they've changed their roster a ton of times, and they've done a lot of different rotations. Some of it working, some of it not. But in this case, yeah, they do seem to be on the downtrend, which is going to be something they need to rectify very, very quickly if they want to be somebody who can compete very directly in those Eastern qualifiers coming on up for the International 3. So obviously trying to step up their game for that. Right now, they're going to have to slay the Giants. Tongfu have already received their invitation, so that's going to be a big win for them if they can actually take this match, but they have to win 2 consecutively, and they're kind of fighting from behind here. Either way, we do see the Magnus pick up, first pick for them, so they might have a little bit more potential when it comes to that mid-game and those 5v5 action. But right now, Shadow Demon and Anti-Mage setting up a very powerful lane of heroes that will be difficult to puncture if they want to go for an aggressive tri-lane especially. MiTH is going to have their work cut out for them.
Yep, 5 AM strategy coming out here. Shadow Demon's Disruption, of course, going to be good against that, and good for the Anti-Mage, because Anti-Mage usually see him getting locked down by those stuns or silences, and the Disruption is going to buy him enough time for those to wear off and him to blink away to safety. Of course, the extra illusions, of course, do help with the mana break on them. So, 5 AM is going to be a lot of trouble for MiTH, but like you said, they have the Magnus, and going to see if they do combo it up with good AoE this time, rather than just weak Sand King support that doesn't really get a lot.
So in this position here, they also want something that can work well with the Magnus. I've seen the Darkseer run a couple of times over, but they also want to reinforce their lanes. There's a lot of great supports available in the pool. The Nyx Assassin was banned out, but still a lot of different various options such as this as a lore. Keep a Light taken out. I think that was 100% necessary, not only for their own lineup, which is it's nice to have, but most importantly not to give it to the Anti-Mage Shadow Demon, because a Disruption plus Illuminate, it'll easily set up a kill on even somebody like a Weaver because of the fact that you can time the 2.5 second delay of the Banish with that Illuminate charging on up. So by doing so, it puts it very, very difficult pressure on your offlaner to actually survive on through that, and that's something that you just can't feed away to the Anti-Mage because he's going to get big very, very quickly. Anyways, the next 2 pickups, we do see the Weaver and the Clockwork. Technically could be a supportive Clockwork if we keep in mind that the Disruption could put them inside the cogs very, very easily if they time it very carefully. But along with that, he was shown to great effect in his situation where he was just soloing on the lane, and of course that was where Mu was kind of shining. So we'll see if he can go 1 versus 1 possibly up against the Magnus in the mid, or if they're going to change it up and make sure that he is just being used to his greatest effect on the other lanes. Either way, the Weaver is providing an interesting aspect of some single target damage to coincide with that the Magnus provides AoE setup for. And yeah, along with that, he's going to be able to control the lane very effectively, whether on the off-lane solo or actually in a tri-lane environment, he can thrive as well.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away a little bit. There was a knock on the door, but yeah, Mu getting his clockwork once again, and MiTH Trust actually having the keeper. You did mention that it was a very devastating combo if it is go to the Shadow Demon anti-mage. Yeah, apart from that, the keeper, of course, will be building a lot of time for the anti-mage to get the farm up, and of course the late game split push from the Kotal's ultimate, the recall and anti-mage split pushing on another lane. It's going to be quite troublesome for MiTH Trust to deal with. So keeper was kind of mandatory right there. If they had given it away, well, I wouldn't like the chances for game 2. But now they do have it on their side. Are we going to see the cancer? Hasn't been banned out just yet.
So that's a possibility, and definitely something that could come online if they want to run the Weaver as a number 3. They could pick up the Phantom Lancer as a number 1. Right now, the Alchemist being banned out. But yeah, I'm not so sure. If they could go for the Phantom Lancer, they certainly would. So I believe that's something that Tongfu have to look to ban out if they don't want to deal with it. I have seen a Battle Fury Anti-Mage contest a Phantom Lancer rather directly, but as soon as you get a couple good core items up on PL, he is a great force to be reckoned with, so you have to be careful about it. But either way, the Morphling is going to be the next ban. I think that's a really, really good one as well. He does provide a lot of potential, not only benefiting a ton from the Keeper Light continuously providing him the Chakra Magic, but also the concept that he will be able to dish out some AoE damage on top of everything that Magnus sets up. So you get the Shockwave RP, you get the Illuminate, and you get the Waveform together. That's going to take out a substantial chunk of everybody's HP. I guess you could add Shikuchi onto that if you feel like it. And then all the right clicks will be able to clean up very, very quickly. So it's kind of a quick maneuver where if they did go for that Morphling, there's a couple of cool abilities that he could bring to it, and it's just something Tongfu does not want to have to deal with. In turn, MiTH Trust banning out a lot of solo heroes. Darkseer, Queen of Pain, and Templar Assassin taken on out.
Yeah, those are very good heroes against Magnus. Of course, Puck wasn't removed, so well, Punk's really good against Magnus as well because it does limit Magnus' movement. The silence is definitely not going to be good for him. And now Tongfu, I think they're deciding really hard. Should we ban out the PL, or are they going to bait it out? Because they do have the Shadow Demon, they do have the Anti-Mage, and with proper setups, Anti-Mage can beat a PL. But of course, Magnus and Kotal does boast a lot of turtling power right now. And MiTH Trust, if they do pick up the PL, it could still be a win for Tongfu, but MiTH Trust will be giving them a lot of hell for it. And, well, we're going to see if Tongfu wants to go with that, or they want to bait it out. Maybe they do have a strat against them. We're going to see if that works for them this way. I'm going to ban Naga Siren, so PL will go to MiTH Trust if they want to pick it up.
Yeah, a little bit afraid of that kind of super combo, the Song of the Siren setting up the Illuminate and all those other things, so it is a high utility kind of semi-carry. She definitely can carry, but we often see her just more in a kill-oriented mindset where she can use her disables and her burst damage to just kind of nuke people down. Either way, in this position, they didn't want to have to deal with her, but the Phantom Lancer is on the board. It's on MiTH Trust here. They only have about 25 seconds to decide how they're going to go with this, but they do have that option of the Phantom Lancer. If they pick it up here, it's going to put a lot more pressure on Tongfu to not necessarily end it sooner, but make sure that they have a ton of map control so that he cannot expand using his juxtaposed illusions to go on into the jungle and such. But they go for right now, picking up the Sand King. Another limited hero, in my opinion, as far as how it's going to work out in the lane. Like you mentioned, they could have used a Shadow Demon or a Rubik to set up the Burrow Strike, but in this case, they don't have anything to provide that. And I think that means that they're going to have to pick up a carry with a stun to move on forward in the end of the draft here.
Yeah, they could be learning to take they could perhaps look to take a leave out of Tongfu's book and pick up this event. Of course, that's Stormbolt into the Burrow Strike stun. With the Illuminate on top of that, it does have a lot of burst damage coming their way, but the one thing I don't like about picking Sand King here is the Clockwork. You have Clockwork with the Cogs, and Sand King, the low level in Burrow Strike, well, he has to go very close in order to stun Clockwork, and he does risk the chance of getting pushed away. And that is not something you want in the early game, especially since Sand King will be running that support role, will not be getting a lot of farm up, and I'm pretty sure Tongfu wouldn't be allowing that. So, Sand King will not be getting a lot of farm, the Burrow Strikes will not be high level enough, and he'll have problems getting their Clockwork. And the Aerial Denial coming out of the Rattle Trap is going to be hard for them.
Yeah. That being said, if they do get Sand King, his level is quickly enough. If they get continuous pulling going on from their camps and they can get the neutral stacks up and Sand King can find his level 3, his level 5, his level 7 faster and faster, those Burrow Strikes are going to be very, very powerful. He goes from a support that can not initiate whatsoever to one that's one of the best initiators in the game once he maxes out that Burrow Strike. So it really just comes down to timing and how great effect Sand King can be in this circumstance. And yeah, as you said, the cogs make it very, very difficult, but they still do have a couple of different options. I'm surprised the Rubik hasn't actually been picked up just yet, but I guess the Shadow Demon Rubik isn't the best combo to think of. So in this circumstance, it's great. to steal from. Like, honestly, Rubik with a Shikuchi or abilities from Magnus or Sand King could be really, really powerful. But in this case, they're going to go with the Shadow Demon Leshrac combo with more kill presence in mind.
Yeah, I would have preferred the Lina, because Lina will be more adept at getting rid of Weaver. But, well, Leshrac does work anyway. Because Weaver, of course, is going to be paper, and with Lina landing landing the Light Strike with the Dragon Slave, usually enough to bring down a paper hero such as Weaver. Leshrac does have the Split Earth and the Lightning, but it's still not enough. It still might not be enough. Lina can dish out a lot, especially once she hits level 6, she can solo kill anyone on the map with Shadow Demon's help.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very true. Honestly, they're very comparable heroes, and those different options. There's a couple different reasons Leshrac has more potency, such as the push mindset. So they could go for a lot of Edict and start putting a little bit more pressure on a tower to get gold for every single hero on the board. Or they could just be saying, okay, well, the Weaver will have a Linken's eventually, and we don't want to have to worry about Laguna Blade being the only spell to cast. Because honestly, like, they don't have anything single target except for Disruption, Demonic Purge, and what would be the Laguna Blade in that case. So that is an issue to keep in mind. If the Linken's did came out, Lina would have to pick up an item that would pop it. But as for beyond the hypotheticals, we see two other pickups coming on through. The Phantom Lancer from MiTH to round out their lineup here, and that of the Storm Spirit to make things work for Mu on presumably the mid lane, but we'll see. So the PL, we were talking about the fact that Sand King can't get in range to get the Burrow Strike. The Phantom Lancer should enable that with his lances. So Spirit Lance connecting, providing a slow, and from there, that just means as long as they have mana from Mola on the Keeper of the Light, they should be able to make this tri-lane work very effectively.
Yep, so you go through, well, you could go through MiTH. I'll go through Tongfu if you want.
Sure. Starting off with MiTH here, we do see Lakelz is picking up that Phantom Lancer, carrying it on up. We also have Mola going to be running the Keeper of Light. Very, very small amount of items for him, but that just makes sure that he can be as supportive as possible, setting up Lakelz to just farm away. Then we do also have SD here. He's probably going to be running on that off-lane top on the Weaver here, and go for either early Tranquils or maybe an Aquila. And then we also have TNK. He's going to be most likely running on the mid as the Magnus. Already starting off with the Skewer, interestingly enough. And then finally, the final one, Sand King, with his new little set that just came out recently. That is R5, R5 on the Sand King.
Yep, really nice set there. Okay, on the side of Tongfu, we have on the top lane there with Anti-Mage on How on Anti-Mage. Shan Shane going to be playing the Shadow Demon. Banana will be on the Leshrac. And Solomid will be Mu. And King J will be playing the Clockwork this time. So the solo mid, of course, Mu is the solo mid player, so he'll be laying down the chemotherapy of this Storm Spirit combo. The Leshrac as well, well, now that I think about it, it's actually a better build compared to the Lina draft, because Lina, although she's good against the Phantom Lancer in the early game, she can't offer as much damage that Banana can with the Split Earths, the Lightning Storm, as well as the Pulse Nova. A lot of AoE damage coming to unlimited sources there. So it will be better in a sense. And Leshrac can take down towers, like you said.
Yeah.
So
and it's a nice little bit there. It does put more pressure on the Leshrac to get more tanky and increase his HP and mana pools, so the Pulse Nova can become relevant. But as a whole, yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of luck, since they're a lot more concerned about this Lancer than they are against the Weaver. And along with that, I kind of feel like Leshrac needs a little bit less gold as far as just being able to not get killed in the beginning of a fight. And so Banana will be able to spend more time on sentries, same with Shanshank. And that'll be really, really good for this double Invis lineup that MiTH has drafted for themselves.
And we see SD up here on the top. Well, when I mean SD, I mean Weaver. On the top here, he does use his invisible body to try and get a block on the camp, but he doesn't get it. I was thinking he might have used the Invis to try and get some experience here in the top lane. But there is a sentry ward. And bottom lane, if you did see, King J did use the cogs to block up the creep wave for a little bit, so it does stack up the Radiant side, and now the creep wave will push towards his tower naturally. So that's going to be quite good for him. A little nice play here from King J. And Kotal does try to lay down some harassment, but not going to do too much.
Yep, just a little bit here and there. What he wants to do is force him off the lane so that he has to rely on the cogs to pull the creep wave back on the tower. Because right now, he is actually getting experience. So, surprisingly, that's not very common for a support. And they're going to try to punish him for it. They get the Spirit Lance, they're going to get the Burrow Strike, but the cogs come out, and that's what you're talking about. Sand King gets bounced back twice over. He loses all his mana, all his HP, and the Illuminate doesn't even strike true. So really, really limiting for R5, getting hit twice. Literally, his mana pool just evaporates, forcing out the clarity already. And Mulla's he's going to get his rank 1 chakra for a little bit, but it's going to be a while before he gets that level 3. The one kind of saving grace right here is that they haven't bothered to block the pull off. So they can go for stacks, they can go for pulls, and that's not going to be too big of a deal if Mistress can start actively stacking that. But right now, just covering up the rest of the jungle, going in for a triple stack here on the mid jungle camp, actually just barely missing it. Unfortunately, that's a very difficult one to actually pull out of the stack box, but they do get this double stack here. So either way, in a good spot. But it does, while the supports roam on around, King J is getting a free opportunity to solo up on the lane, and that is going to be setting him up for his ultimate at a relatively good pace.
Yep, and King J gonna harass back a little bit by the Phantom Lens, but he's been pulled a lot of regen, or rather he did buy a lot in the start. So he's going to be okay here in the bottom lane. Like I said, they don't have a lot of aggression. The low level Burrow Strike does make it very hard to land, and the Illuminate doesn't deal a lot of damage at level 1. And now King J is just going to continue burning Lekel's mana. So although he does have the Chakra, it does do a little bit of damage to him. And King J will be okay, and the creep wave does push to the tower, so he'll get his level 4 out of this. And in my opinion, the Trilane has failed in trying to contain this clockwork.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. I mean, Lekel's might have opportunity, but look at King J now going very aggressive underneath the tower, hoping that the creep waves will, there we go. Lekel's going to take a few hits from the tower. Will actually pop his Invis to try to avoid 2 outer tower attacks, only Invises out of one of them, but in the end he will just pop off a salve, and yeah, good pressure coming in from King J. Only a 50 mana spell, and he got that much damage out of it. Just really, really good timing and positioning for that.
Yeah, the thing about the PL is, he can get decent amount of farm, but in the late game, with the Storm Spirit, if the Storm Spirit gets a good start, he picks up that Orchid. This is why Storm Spirit was picked off, because he's one of those guys that can jump in from anywhere, pull anyone out of the fight. It can be Magnus, it can be Koto. Koto will be one of the key targets for this for the Storm Spirit here. And of course PL, if you jump on him so fast and get the pull off, he won't get the chance to go into the Invis. And of course if you have a Dust, well, he's just screwed. Even without the Orchid, he'll be easily killed. With the Anti-Mage, of course, going to be Lincoln, and Storm Spirit Anti-Mage, going to be quite a good ganking lineup once Anti-Mage does get a little bit of farm up with the threats, Battle Fury. And yeah, Mu has to look for something big here in the early game, and TNK has to try and stop him. But no.
So what's up with the Weaver's movement right now? SD moved on into the easy camp, was just staring at it for a while, but right when it came to stacking time, he decided to Shikuchi back up to the top lane. And of course, there is this timing of this creep wave pushing in right here. He doesn't feel safe on the lane itself. Do you think he can hold the line here up against his tower?
Definitely not. He doesn't have the Swarm as well, so he can try and lay down some harassment on Hao, but Hao is not going to mind. He has the Style Shield, he has some tangles. This tower will be taking a fall here unless, well, unless MiTH does decide to pull in, bring in support, but Hao dropping very low here to the Weaver. But SD doesn't have enough mana for Shikuchi, so if he gets caught by disruption here, he's dead.
Yeah, essentially. He did just now get enough mana, but he doesn't have Gemini attack. He's still level 1, so the damage he's putting into Hao is completely irrelevant, and now they're going to take the tower. Siege Creep going to hit it, but it's actually going to be Animage that picks up the last hit. So Hao jumped up to 2,400 gold in not even 5 minutes. He's just really, really on top of the world here, and he's going to be able to pick up an amazing time Battle Fury. So he's going to put out pressure here. And the big thing is, of course, not only is he going to farm very quickly, but he's going to have that cleave, which will do wonders up against the Phantom Lancer.
Yep. And Magnus still looking at level 5. He does have a haste. No, he has popped that. Right. Yep, he has used that haste rune. So I was hoping he would save it for a little bit. Having the haste rune, of course, in the middle lane is really big because it does ensure you your next runes, provided no supports come and interfere. You do guarantee the rush to the rune. You win the other solo mid because of that extra movement speed. So you want to pop it around 540, 545. And let's try and nuke down the creep wave in the process, and let's sprinting for the rune and sprinting back. Maybe if it's a double damage, you can try and get a kill with your skewer or RP.
Sure.
But no, he's gonna pop it early, and that's not gonna get any advantage from that. You're just going for the bottle crawl, so yeah, the rune not gonna do a lot for him.
But all the same, he is getting a lot of reliability out of this Bottle Crow. If they don't need the courier, it's just kind of wasting time chilling out in the base, then he's going to get a benefit that he wouldn't otherwise have. If the supports cover up the runes, no matter how fast you are, they can snipe it up, and that's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. So we do see the rune will spawn on bottom, which, fortunately for Magnus, means he'll pick it up one way or another. TNK now acquiring the Illusion rune, but not really going to set up any gank opportunities. It's not an Invis or a Haste. He's not going to be able to get a surprise ultimate off as a result of this, but it's still going to add in some extra damage when he inevitably does use that reverse polarity.
And speaking of ganks, in the middle lane, Shadow Demon as well as Lestrak, they're rotating in, but that's a sentry up top, and the smoke does break here for Shansheng, so going a little bit too close to the edge. So, but I think they might go in there. Yeah. Mu does have the pull, and we come see a tactical pause right now.
So. Yeah. At this stage, honestly, the observer vision means for Radiant means that Mistress have no idea, that Shadow Demon and Leshrac are here. They know they could possibly be in technicality, but the smoke isn't even a factor right now. It's all about just the standard vision that they can be provided, but TNK not aware of what's going on, and they could go down the cliff right actually now. I'm not sure why they backed off. I mean, of course, they do know that other heroes are missing, such as the Sand King and the Keeper of Light, but it is kind of surprising that they did not proceed with their actions, since they were very, very transparent in wanting to try to get a kill on the Magnus. But of course, there is a lot of turnaround potential.
It would have been dangerous if the Leshrac Splitter doesn't land, and even if it did land, it is still only a level 1, so it doesn't have a lot of burst damage. And he did go for Edict, 2 points in that, but there were a lot of creeps nearby, and they were just afraid of the RP and the skill back into the tower. Of course, with the Sand King waiting there on standby, it could have been disastrous for them.
Sure. A lot of potential for counter-initiation, and they kind of think, why force the issue? Right now, we are in the lead, comparing the Anti-Mage to the Phantom Lancer. You have a 50 CS, First Blood, or not First Blood, just for a Tower Kill, that's what I was thinking. You have a top of CS, Tower Kill Anti-Mage, versus a 45 CS Phantom Lancer, and then comparing the Clockwork, which is now level 5, to a Weaver, which is barely level 3, you're actually, comparatively speaking, on much firmer footing. So they're not really forcing the issue right now against the Magnus, and for good reason. As long as they don't have to engage the fights, they can just wait for Anti-Mage to pull away with this Battle Fury, which should be happening rather shortly.
Yeah, and we see Koto and Sand King here farming up the Radiant jungle. They do stack a lot here if you look just below the bottom rune, and as well the one on the left. The camp on the left was just cleared out here by Koto as well as Sand King, so it gets them a lot of money, gets them all experience up. Already hitting level 4 I mean. A lot better than the last game, and they are now out leveling 2 supports on the Dire. Shadow Demon sitting at 3 and Leshrac sitting at 4. Koto actually hitting 5 himself, so a lot of points in Chakra. No, he goes for more Illuminate instead, so gonna go for more push and split push.
Yep, tier 2 tower about to fall. It's going to go to Leshrac this time around. He's taking a lot of damage from the swarm, so has to be rather careful. Actually, no, it will expire here. But yeah, Banana taking a lot of big hits. Either way, he gets the hit on the tower. Maxing out that Edict is really, really paying off for them as far as bringing down this very, very quickly. So now they have this whole lane controlled, and Hao is in a confident position where he doesn't really have to worry about things. I think he could really use a TP scroll. That would benefit him a ton, but all in all, he's not really too concerned unless a reverse polarity is committed on him about being dropped. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Mu is farming up stacks of his own, dropping that Remnant and Overload to do a heck of a lot of damage, and now he is going to be in a pretty good spot himself to move in towards his first core item, whether it be an Orchid or something else. We do see Arcanes up on TNK, trying to gank up on the Anti-Mage, but just 3 heroes. Is it going to be sufficient here? We have Sand King, Magnus, and no, he's just going to blink into the trees, hide out at least for the moment. They could go for a Skewer in technicality, but that would deprive him of the mana he needs to follow up, so there we go.
Kill gang. So good observer plan here by the Dire supports, keeping AM alive. If he got caught out there, he could have gone down without. Well, he did have threats as well, so it was still a debatable thing. But still, that was the closest they ever get to killing Hao, short of a mana leak draining all his mana, which is unlikely to happen in the near future.
Yeah, now we do see action on mid lane. They actually commit the reverse polarity, try to bring Sansheng down. That's big commitment, but it is first blood, and it has been spilled. Now Sand King picking that up and jumps up tremendously in gold. He actually gets 445 gold for that, which is about half of what he's currently running. So he can build up either Magic Wand, Arcane Boots, or if he really wants to be greedy, he can try to rush out a Blink Dagger. But I think he's just in a confident position where he can just stack things up and go for a more leisurely paced Blink Dagger, just building up so that he can be relevant in the team fights.
I think an Arcane would be good right now. Well, although there is Chakra, but the base mana of Sand King is so poor such that if he does go for 1 Barrow Strike before waiting for one Barrow Strike to clear out a creep wave, and if the fight does start then, he won't have enough mana to commit for his full combo. So you might want to, you might want to get an Arcanes just for that, and he is walking to the secret shop. No, he's trying to get a gang on Hao, I think.
Yeah, gonna introduce some harassment damage, but it's not going to bring him down fast enough. They're pretty much just going to take about half his HP away, and not even that. Hao, quick on the fingers of the Blink Dagger, Observer Ward still at work. And yeah, Hao feels very unthreatened here, continues to push out the wave, picking up any CS he pretty much wishes.
And we see Storm as well, Sunshine gonna be hiding there. Lekels is in big trouble. Storm Spirit might go for the pull instantly. Yeah, he's going for the ball, instant lightning and the dust. Yep. Gonna get a very long pull as well. Soul Catcher, is that gonna be Soul Catcher? Nope, gonna be a disruption and Soul Catcher. You're gonna Cherub him the cock, so he's not getting out of this one alive. He does get a pick off on King, nope, won't even get it. So PL going down for free there to Tongfu. They dropped really low, but that was a good gank. Yeah. Like I said, Mu is gonna be quite essential in picking off the PL.
Kind of amazed that Mula didn't go for an Illuminate there. They were all trapped inside the cogs. He could have at least dropped down King J, who got out with only like 2 right clicks away from death. So in that position, at least they could have gotten a return kill. But either way, it was good planning from Tongfu. Mu and Sansheng especially going in for that gank initiation, using the dust effectively and shutting down the PL a little bit. So he has the drums. He still has some tank ability and mobility, but he's going to have to farm quite a bit more if he's going to get a well-timed defusal.
Yep. Well, PL is not something you still can underestimate in any point of the game, especially since there's a Magnus. Like I said, Magnus, if there's a Magnus, there's a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he lands a 5-man RP and that Barrel Strike goes over with that epicenter, well, it's lights out for Tongfu. But Tongfu has been showing to have very good positioning so far in this game, as well as in game 1, taking that 18-1 stomp over MiTH in that first game. So, well, I trust them not to get caught up as 5. But Magnus still can get a lot of big pickups. Even 2 to 3 man RPs are quite devastating.
So, as far as allocation of detection, they have been doing an extremely good job here. King J has Dust, and Sansheng actually has both Sentries and Dust. So, in this position, they are prepared to take down either the Weaver or the Phantom Lancer. One limiting factor for the Weaver is you have to use the Sentry that Sansheng's carrying, because he will be able to use his ultimate to evade the Dust of Appearance and Shikuchi immediately after that. So, has to time that carefully, but good placement, good usage of King J's ulti with cogs, and then of course the Sentry on top of that, and that's pretty much lights out for just about anyone. Of course the Weaver is very, very slippery, so we'll have to see if that is going to be enough to lock him down, but certainly for the Phantom Lancer, they have a lot of kill potential, and even somebody that can escape through with a good movement speed boost along with the invisibility, he's not really in a comfortable position farming down here.
Well, I want to discuss with you one thing over the PL skills. I see a lot of pros on the PLs actually do decide to opt for the drums. It does cost them 1.8k, and it does delay the diffusal blade by quite a bit. What are your thoughts on this? Well, it's a good item. I think it's a good item. It does give some good move speed. It does give some stats. It gives nice mana boost as well. But still, is it really worth taking that 1.8k detour for the diffusal blade? Is my question. Because diffusal blade, of course, does add a lot of damage to the PL. Once its illusions start chipping away at your mana, they do a lot of damage. And of course, the armor as well as the attack speed of the illusions go up as well. And after that, you can work straight to your heart. So is the drums really necessary? Is my question here.
In my opinion,
can another support pick it up?
In my opinion, it does help out a lot. It's not just necessarily about the aura and the fact that the supports can't, but it's that the PL benefits a lot from the +9 to all stats. It's kind of like a cheap ultimate orb that provides even more bonuses, in the sense that early on, especially when you're going for this build that you go Juxtapose and Phantom Edge, you're going to have those illusions for a little bit of split pushing when they leave you alone on the lane to try to put more pressure on towers, and those illusions are so darn squishy if you don't have any strength. If you only have a magic wand of strength and whatever you get from base, you're not actually getting too much. You're just going to be like 2 Clockwork Rockets and your illusions can be all dead. So in this position, it's a little bit more tankability on the illusions. Yeah, they're actually going to be able to bring down Keeper of the Light. The question is, can they get more out of it? They see the courier, but it can get hasted. All they have to do is just keep that moving away. Meanwhile, Phantom Lancer with Illusion's doing a little bit of work here, but it's actually, yeah, the Phantom Lancer and the Weaver who are trying to defend the bot, which I kind of feel should be a rotation more so of the stunning heroes. You know, Magnus and Sand King want to get in the fight. Weaver and Phantom Lancer would prefer to farm, but in this situation, they don't get to choose the circumstances of their termination, so Lashrak does fall in turn with the Keeper Light, but really not getting too much more out of that.
I think Magnus did get a solo kill out of that one.
Duo, yeah. Sand King and Magnus were able to pick up that
landed
kill.
the skewer as well as the shockwave. I'm not so sure if Sand King was part of that. He was rotating down middle.
Okay.
But Lashrak definitely got picked off there by the Magnus. So
the Lashrak tech, they were grouped together. But as far as results of that, because they did kill the Lashrak, they do have a Blink Dagger on Magnus, and he hasn't expended his Reverse Polarity yet. So they do have a lot of potential here. Sand King with his ulti, and of course the Blink Skewer pickoff or the Blink Polarity. So that's going to be something that is very, very dangerous for Tongfu. No matter what hero you are, even the Anti-Mage, as good as he's doing, is going to have to be worried about that. Speaking of, the Battle Fury is up and rolling, and the Yasha should be shortly after.
Yeah, 1.7k, this guy. How? Just farming really fast and looking just like all Chinese carries, they do it with brutal efficiency. And yeah, how? Stop to pick up his Vlad. So looking for an early Vlad once more, that aura boost as well as the lifesteal. Suggest an early Roshan as well. He'll solo that with the Vlads.
Yeah, absolutely. Has the potential to do that.
Solo Roshan with Vlads.
And it doesn't have any issue with the mana break because it is a lifesteal aura and not the actual component for orb effects. But yeah, pretty much we're talking about the drums build up on the Phantom Lancer, the Vlad's for the Anti-Mage is kind of similar mentality. Yes, the Manta Style is an amazing core item, will allow him to do so much in the fights because it adds in that extra component of mana burn with the illusions doing extra damage through the feedback. But Hao is more comfortable with providing more utility for his team, getting a little bit of split push potential, getting a little bit of opportunities to Roche or to go for favorable engagements with armor active on his team. We do see actually a stun coming out on Lakel's down bottom, but there is going to be a big Vero Strike coming on through to bring down Banana, so pretty much using it as an opportunity to get San Shangan out of there, but unfortunately has to pay with his life given the positioning. However, in the end it turns out to be another 1-for-1. Keeper to Light in the mid lane, and then of course Leshrac down on the bottom. But
PL does get that kill, so... Well, I like to say MiTH Trust are doing a lot better this game. They did not throw as many kills. By this, in game 1, by this time, they were already having their tier 3s getting hit upon. But now, MiTH Trust looking strong here. The gold graph, pretty negligible, 500 in favor of Tongfu. But still, well, Lakel's finding the farm, has the alacrity up on him. Looking for the second one as well, going to complete up the defusal. And once he gets that, well, Leshrac, Shadow Demon, they're not going to get away from him.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult in that kind of lockdown position. So we are seeing Lakel's jungle going to work here. He's bringing down a number of neutral camps really, really quickly and then sending them out to the lane. Again, they don't last all that long, so unless they get some lucky procs to keep them self-propagating, it is going to kind of just fizzle out, not a big deal. But yeah, in this position here, the Phantom Lancer should be able to farm up his Diffusal Blade very, very quickly, and actually already has it. So yeah, he is in a great position now. Every single one of those illusions will be able to right-click for a mana burn of 20. And that's going to be very, very nice to just add in that little bit of burst of damage, especially if you get some lucky procs in your illusions. So now he's built up very, very efficiently. He has the drum, he has the manta, or sorry, yeah, he has the drum, he has the diffusal, and he can be building up towards a harder Trask as his next big thing.
Yep, and AM as well as Leshrac going to be hitting Roshan here. AM has been working on Roshan for quite a bit there, getting a little bit bashed down. So Mu is going to lend him a hand. Banana does drop splitters from the high ground, but they're going to take this Roshan in 18 minutes in. 18-14, and they do pick up the Aegis for Mu, yeah. So it looks like Anti-Mage wants to go back to farm. Mu will be causing more trouble along the map, and yeah, that's a big advantage of gold as well as experience for Banana. Already hitting level 9.
Yep, and
check out the XP graph for a moment, you can see it does dip 3,000 in favor of Tongfu right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a very, very substantial advantage, not just kills, but the way they've been spreading their forces out, especially Hao, all the way across the map, getting a ton of experience for himself, actually topping out at level 13. So they just also, on top of that, made it much worse with this kill of all these Ancients. It was a very substantial stack of the Ancients, but the way they did it was they just contributed multiple heroes, a disruption of the illusions, and then, yeah, some extra pressure from the support. So they were able to bring down that Ancient cap, get a ton of cash on towards Hao, and of course he is able to just move on forward. We also see with the Orchid there is a solo kill on the Weaver, and that's essentially based on the fact that Weaver has very little survivability if he's silenced. If he cannot Manta or anything like that to get rid of the Orchid, suddenly he cannot use his ultimate to survive, he cannot turn Invis, and there's really nothing to get him on out of there. So really, really difficult for Weaver to survive in this circumstance, and now he has to play a lot more cautiously when he goes out pushing beyond his tower.
Yep, and I said the previous game that MiTH Trust should be playing split push, but this time they do have the team fight lineup, so they should be going looking for the fights, pushing towers, but they're not doing that. They're staying back and farming up their PL. They could actually go for 4-1, where PL pushes out one lane with his Swarm, and MiTH Trust just go with the... Well, the Magnus has his blink soon, right? Yeah, he has his blink.
Oh yeah, he's had it for a while.
If he does blink into the RP and just skewer everything out into the Barrel Strike, it could be a full team wipe here, and the Weaver could pick up a lot of experience and gold from these pushes as well. Sand already very close to his Blink Dagger. Well, I won't say very close, but he is 1k from his Blink Dagger. And once he gets that up, the double initiation coming up from MiTH Trust can actually look to cripple Tongfu quite a bit, and Hao's in a little trouble. Barrel Strike's going to land on him, and the lance does fly on Hao going to blink away his safety. Does blink a little bit into the trees there, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and we do also have the smoke. If they want to pursue a little bit too far their bounds, there was a smoke popped off on the other three here. So Mu, a little bit of bait, same thing with Hao. And they could be, if MiTH Trust does try to initiate, they might have some problems. We do see coming on in, Mullah will be picked off by that Orchid. Big right click coming out, that's a double damage rune at work. Good move from Mu, just knowing exactly what his potential is. But yeah, getting some quick pickoffs here. We see 4-0-1 for the Storm Spirit, kind of starting that snowball rolling, and now we do see the Tier 1 taking a lot of hits. They force a fortification, makes me think they want to go for this reverse polarity. They can get it on 2, they drop it on King J and Hao. Will there be the follow-up there? Where's the Epicenter? Goes for the Burrow Strike, Epicenter coming on out, it will connect, so they're doing a lot of damage here, but it gets bursted by Hao, bursted by Mu, too much across, and Lakel's should drop as well. He gets hit up, he can defusal, but he can't doppel, and so he will be dropped as well. Big damage coming out. Mu gets a double kill. Hao cleans up nicely, and they're going to take yet another tower.
I'm not so sure if you saw that, but that was a big stun frame from Lestrak. Just managing to time it well, land it before the epicenter did go off. So Sand King wasted his ultimate right there, and Lestrak landing a big splitter, saving some of his teammates' lives as well. I think Shansheng would have gone down if the epicenter went off. So big player from Lestrak, and Lestrak, although he does go down, he's kind of a hero as well.
Yeah, a lot of potential there. He already committed his edict to the tower, so it's not like he had that to commit. The one big thing, he only has one splitter to give for his country, and it is going to be dropped down right on top of that Sand King. So great movement there. And yeah, I just wasn't so sure about TNK's movements there. Of course, they needed to make something happen. They've been holding on to these polarities for far too long. But unfortunately, in a 5 versus 5, with Tongfu being in such an aggressive stance right here, the fact that they only got the RP on 2 and 2 heroes that are relatively durable meant that they really couldn't follow it up. And so Weaver's not ready yet. He is saving up. Do you think he's going Relic? I would prefer a Manta style, but he seems to be saving really hardcore.
Well, I don't think a Relic's a good idea, especially with Storm Spirit on the map. You want to go for a Linken's.
Yeah,
just block either the Orchid or the Pool. But this is one of the few times where I actually would opt for Linken's on the Beaver, but no, they're not gonna go, and Barrow Strike's gonna catch Mu on the edge.
Mu in a bad spot.
Stop the Sand King.
Yeah, they're actually going to be able to bring down Mu in just a second here. He does finish off the Sand King, pops off this Orchid, could go in for more, but unfortunately they don't have the reinforcements. King J does miss his hook shot, so he can't really close on in. It's going to be on Mu to control the positioning here, and yeah, they just pick off a single pick off on the Sand King, and they do use the Aegis. That would have expired in just over a minute anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but it is, yeah, him just going in aggressively and trying to find a pick there, which he, of course, did at the very end. Very aggressive play.
Storm Spirit does have 3.6k on him. Can look for a quick hacks.
Maybe he's going for a Relic, I don't know.
Well. You could, yeah, well, I guess, but yeah, probably a BKB, probably a Hex.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing from Weaver too. Weaver is going for the Black King Bar himself, which is a really good move. He can BKB out of Orchids, he can avoid Electric Vortex, avoid those big Leshrac stun. It's not going to do too much up against the Clockwork, but still Weaver will be able to survive much more effectively. It's not a common item that you see picked up on him when he's trying to kind of mix his offense and defense. If he's like a core hero, you're going to see more of a Linken's Butterfly type thing. But no, the BKB here is very effective, and I think it's going to be extremely important for them to keep that active and use the charges very carefully. But yeah, like you said, Storm Spirit picked up a BKB of his own, and that we were talking about how aggressive Mu was right there, and most certainly will be even more so with this. Like, he can jump on in, he doesn't have to worry about the Burrow Strike. Literally the only lockdown he fears
nice hook.
Is that RP.
Yeah,
Lakel's in a bad spot. TNK drops the RP, drops the hammer though, and there's gonna be that big Burrow Strike on top of it here. The epicenter didn't work out though. He don't know if he shift queued it wrong or what. But Lakel's falls, Hao still lives, and here comes Mu jumping on in to bring down the Sand King, going even further to pull in TNK, and that should be enough to bring him down as well. 3 kills there, 2 of them go to the anti-mage themselves, and what a good engagement for them. Yes, they lost the Clockwork. Yes, he jumped into his own demise, but he set it up for his team to clean it up very nicely.
Not so sure what happened with the RP there. Perhaps he got stunned up. I'm not so sure. Well,
RP
and
or
Sand
epi?
King stunning a little bit too early as well. Not stacking the stuns just right here. With the RP level 2, it does stun for 3 seconds. You want to time it properly at a 2.5, then you go for the Barrow Strike. Could have added a few more points of damage towards it. And of course, Magnus, I think he got burned down by anti-mage illusions. That's why he couldn't go for the skewer follow-up. I'm not so sure what happened there. The fight just ended really quickly for them. And of course, PL dying once again, not going to help his case at all.
Very unfortunate. They definitely needed that epicenter. They could have actually, I think, cleaned him up before the mechanism came on out, but that epi just didn't happen. It was on cooldown only seconds before he got that Burrow Strike off, so he definitely was casting it to try to make it work, but either he was just outside of range or he messed up the shift queue. Either way, epicenter not being there means that they couldn't get anything more than the Clockwork out of it, which is really sucky for them. So in this position, they're down 10,000 gold, they're down 16,000 experience. What does Mistrust need to do to actually come back from this?
Well, they need to turtle really hard. Cannot lose any more fights. And yeah, save the RP for those RAM engagements. But no, they're going to go for the exact opposite. Going for a smoke gang without the RP. It does come off cooldown in 10 seconds. But whether they can find a good pickoff here, they might actually find a good pickoff here on Storm. Do they spot him out is the question. No, Storm's going to reach the high ground and they will not find him.
Yeah, and he has an Invis Rune and a BKB. So this guy is as survivable as possible.
Yep, Barrow Strike.
So they do lock him down.
Oh, he gets very quick on that BKB. Gonna get out of there.
Yeah,
And
that
he
is
comes in.
such
Oh,
clutch.
Mana Void.
Big Mana Void trying to drop it down. A single blink should be enough to bring down TNK. On the back end of things, SD doing a lot of hits, but we do hear an RP onto How,
Defensive
only on
RP
How.
as well.
Yeah, so he's on the run as fast as
Weaver
possible.
gets the Storm Spirit at the back end.
Yeah, this is really bad for them. They've used the RP, and yes, he does blink away, so we will see the Magnus survive, but everybody else taking a lot of hits here. Lakel's trying to do something to King J, but a big Split Earth coming across. Illuminate does something, but not enough here, as we do see Storm dropping on down, and now Weaver purged on up and will be falling as well. So Weaver, very early on, using that BKB in the fight on only 1 or 2 heroes. The fight was just so scattered, so chaotic from MiTH Trust. They go for a defensive RP just to stop How and his Manta. They do get the Magnus out of there, but you know that's a selfish way to look at it when you consider the fact that the rest of your team is falling so quickly. So they don't get an Epi, they lose the Weaver after the fact, and the big thing is that Lakel's didn't get any kills. He could not finish off the Clockwork there, and very unfortunate for them.
Yeah, and I find the PL going for Yasha at this point is, well, not the best choice because although yes, granted it does give him the attack speed, the movement speed, the damage, but it will not give him any survivability apart from armor, which he already has a ton of. So he could have actually looked towards the Vital Booster or perhaps even gone for the Reaver first, provide him more hit points and make a tankier Illusion army, but no. He decides to go for the Yasha and does pay for it. He does go down very quickly to the Soul Catcher. Once Soul Catcher is placed onto him, Anti-Mage just goes with a few chops and just drops the Void on him, and he does die to the Shrek AoE as well.
Yeah, very painful. He needs to get some tank up, and right now he's going for the Yasha. Great item in general. Yasha is an amazing thing. I mean, his base movement speed right now is 419 because he does have Tranquils and Drums, and he's just so darn quick on his feet. But that being said, he doesn't have nearly as much tank, and even the rank 2 Leshrax Pulse Nova is enough to burn down most of his illusions very quickly. So it's a significant concern that he doesn't have that tank, and he's going to be saving up a decent amount before he can finish off that Manta style, because his GPM isn't out of this world. 420, it's solid, but it still is going to mean a good few minutes before that Yasha actually turns into something better. Either way, we do actually hear, I don't actually catch it, but it is going to be a dual pickoff between that of How and of Mu with their initiation there, using the Orchid to try to bring down that Weaver. Now we do see, again, hookshot comes on through. King J landing it very nicely, but getting Burrow striked up from the low ground as TNK skewers out from the high ground. Now we just see kind of a little bit of a chase action going on. And
How wants something.
Yeah.
How at the middle lane, yeah.
He's going in. How? The recall's canceled. He's going to go ahead and just sandstorm away. There's no way that How can catch that out, and instead they're just going to go in and try to burst him down with that Remnant combo after the Ball Lightning. There's How jumping on in, gets the Mana Void off on top of the Sand King to burn him down. He has a heart, so he is fearless here, and as long as he doesn't get in over his head and goes 1 versus 3, he's going to be able to fight through pretty much anything.
And although it took 28 minutes this time, Tongfu still looking very strong in this game too, and MiTH Trust,
yeah,
they will have to. Well, like I said, this Yasha is not just that's not paying off for Lakel's. It does give him a lot of damage, but he can't actually fight against the anti-mage. TF just not fearing the PL, and like I said in the draft, they could have actually been looking to bait out by banning out some of, like you said, MiTH Trust favorites with Wave, Morphling banned out, Naga Siren banned out. It does bait out the PL with the Kotl as well as the Magnus setup already in the draft. So the PL was the natural choice, and Aegis does go down to TF once again. And PL not getting the farm, not getting the... Well, he does get a little bit of farm, but he doesn't get the openings as well as the proper team fights he needs.
Exactly. So now it's getting really dark for them. The Phantom Lancer, the game's never over with a Magnus Phantom Lancer, that's for sure. And they are still turtling to hold their racks. But I feel with this pick of the Aegis, once again on the Storm Spirit, and the fact that he is veering very quickly his Hex Stick, it's going to enable Mu to be such a player in this next fight that they can actually possibly take a fight without having to worry about the reverse polarity. And if that becomes the case, then suddenly Tongfu just have this game broken wide open. They can break the base with the Aegis without having to worry about the Magnus, and they will be able to win this, not outright, but definitely take the racks to start actually defeating this turtle lineup.
And we see 5 AM right now.
Yeah, there's nice actual usage of the Blinding Light to get a lot of mischance on here. Burrow Strike comes on through to connect here. There is going to be Illuminate as well, so they're being pushed out. We're losing all 5 of those anti-mages, or at least 4 out of the 5. But Hal is still very strong. Tanking up, will heart regenerate back up to full, and they can go on in with the next creep wave.
And you look at PL, just sitting at 1.2k, the HP. Gonna go down very quickly with Anti-Mage already hitting for about 250 per chop. So And the disruption goes out, and he will have another 2 illusions to help him take down this tower, and the tower will fall.
Yeah, he's getting it. He has a
Power
Mantis
strike
style here.
on.
The right clicks can come on through. The burst coming on in, though. King J is going to connect onto Sand King. He cannot get Epicenter off in this engagement, so he's going to drop down quickly. And we do see a big Mana Void to bring looking for the kills. They do have Dust. They just have to finish it off, and there it is. They're going to be able to pick up him. Buybacks everywhere. Sand King, Magnus, and the Phantom Lancer coming back on in. TNK getting a nice ultimate off. Going to be able to secure them under the tier 4s. Move barely alive, but will pop off that Aegis Immortal. How coming on in. Bursting down TNK. Not going to get it, though. Dodging out the burrow incidentally. But it's going to be Moo coming back on up. They focus down the racks. Swarm will deter them for a moment, but not for long, I don't think. Here comes the Phantom Lancer, burning down Hal's mana, but he only needs a little bit here. Big Split Earth. Big Split Earth Electric Vortex onto the Weaver, bringing him down for the count, and now they take the racks.
And Lakel set even further back. Although he did buy out, they might push them away now, but no, Anti-Mage still going to sit there, take away the ranged racks, and not even going to care at this point. Even if he does get skewered, I don't think he would die. He does have a heart, does have the bloods, a lot of armor upon him, a lot of attack speed, and the Mantis style. Any debuff would just be shrugged off.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're just so darn strong, and Leshrac gaining so much out of this situation. I was talking about HP and mana, and now he has unlimited quantities. He got his Bloodstone up to 11 charges here. He is going to provide so much for his team. A lot of Pulse Nova damage. He's going to hit level 16. His mana regen right now is 21.1. And on top of that, when he dies, he gets a massive heal to all the allies nearby. So it's like a super mechanism. He actually gives 400 HP plus 30 per charge. So you add in 330 on top of that. 700 health to everything around. It's just ridiculous what that will provide. We don't see Bloodstone oftenly making it to the scene here because those supports like Leshrac are generally going to get focused down pretty hard. But right now he's sitting pretty well at 3, 3, and 6. And he's been able to contribute directly. So he has Bloodstone. He has enough gold for Blink Dagger if he wants. Or he can just go for the BOTs or something. Whatever he goes for, he's in a great position.
Well, it is a 25k gold lead, so
yeah,
you expect such things from such games. Even Shadow Demon sitting at face boots. He's not even bothering for the arcanes. He's just going for face, going for damage, and has the urn as well. And even has time to pick up a gem for casual dewarding. But MiTH Trust, all their wards are in their base right now, so not really worth it.
So
they're going for smoke. Yep, going for smoke.
Yep, 2 smokes coming on out, one towards the bottom there for the Radiant, and then one for the Dire. But one thing about Tongfu is they have this Observer Ward place, and since the smoke has expired on MiTH Trust, they have full vision right here, checking out Divers, and they know everybody that's here. They're going to swoop on in and cut them off on the front line. They're coming back, they feel safe, coming back to their own base, but there's a team waiting for them, about to initiate. This is really bad. Will there be a hookshot to connect on Mullah, or just a Demonic Purge? There's a right click finishing off. Moo goes on in, going for Magnus, specifically the Orchid, the stun, bringing him down. Sand King will get out of the cogs, but Magnus, not so fortunate, will be dropped, and here's the disruption. Split Earth to lock down the Sand King as well. 3 people dropped, and they can go right up on the high ground. They have backdoor protection already down, the creeps in the base, and they will be whacking away at this tower, at these racks. And honestly, they don't have much to bring. They might, as far as buyback goes, nothing for Mistrust at all. So they lose 4 out of their 6 racks, and they call it GG here.
So Tongfu, just perfect initiation. Each hero knowing which hero to jump on. So Anti-Mage and Shadow Demon, they took care of